Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 603. Today we'll be playing the Reaper in Backpack Battles. And so our week of the Relic case with the Reaper here in Backpack Battles continues. Let's push that new ranked game button, continue onward, upward, forward, backwards and down, and see what happens. And so, interesting stuff. I typically don't like these things like the Leaf Badge. I think that it typically pushes you towards a build that just isn't that good. Like in large part, I typically felt that the only thing that you could really use out of these badges were typically just food, right? So if you got the Berserker bag, you could come up and find like the cheese and do something with the cheese, but the remainder of the Berserker items didn't really play well with any of the other classes. But with the Leaf Badge, you do get a couple of interesting things, right? You get this critical strike that you typically wouldn't get out of the Reaper. Reaper only has one item that gives critical hit, and it's just hot garbage with the relic case. And as we do look to potentially just build snake builds coming out of the relic case, there's just a lot of potential for the leaf badge to just work, right? If we're generating clovers naturally out of the snake build, then we just have the clovers we need to give this critical hit chance. And then it also lets us find the crit wood ring or the crit ring, whatever that's called, and then also give all of our equipment crit that way. Potentially look to make a crit wood staff. That could be a potential thing as well. But I think this is one of the few times that I'm actually on board with picking up the leaf badge is using the Reaper with the relic case. I don't like the leaf badge with the Reaper and the poison case. And so it's kind of interesting how that plays itself out. And so long story short, we're taking it. And now let's see what we can do with this other stuff we're offered up. I'm going to pick up the amulet, see if it's a good one. It's a food amulet. Don't want that, so we'll sell it. I want to go ahead and pick up this sword. I want to pick up the healing herbs. And so it's not the greatest start for round one. I would ideally be out here upgrading a wooden sword to a torch, upgrading a wooden sword to a holy relic, making a what you call it, a shovel, something like that, so we're on board with the weapons. But kicking things off early with this leaf badge throws a bit of a wrench in things. I think we might have to give up a couple early rounds here to hopefully power spike a little bit harder in the mid game. Might be okay here. I'm not certain if this guy's build can outdo a stamina potion or outdo the hearts. Looks like it can. He just started to crush us there, but I think with one more food we would have been able to sustain through that. All right, pushing forward though, and so nothing on sale, always a bit of a bummer. I'm kind of tempted to pick up whetstones. We need something to upgrade our weapons at this point, and it does something. I'm not the hugest fan of chasing down hero swords, but I think if we're going to be just kind of forcing the snake build, it's not as bad. And so the reason I say this is I don't like hero swords and falcon blades if we go towards vampiric, right? I think the only real builds with the relic case are vampiric or snake. I don't like going falcon blade towards vampiric, and so I don't like taking whetstones early because it doesn't leave you with a lot of flexibility. But if we're just like hard targeting snake this early with the leaf badge, and I like the falcon blade with snake, then I think it's okay. So long story short, lots of long stories, lots of long stories short today. We'll see if we can't get off track and just start talking about random bullshit while we're at it. People don't like it when we do that. So that's how you get the viewers rolling in. Okay, and so just a nice collection of things here as well. You got the Thorn Whip turning up. I'm happy enough to snatch these up. And so the only problem this turn is the money. I'm gonna want to pick the Thorn Whip out of this. We can't afford it. We can only get up to 7 if we pick up the wooden or sell the wooden sword. I guess we could sell the onion while we're at it and still get all of this stuff within our bag. It seems kind of greedy, kind of dangerous, but I want to win some of these early combats. It just feels like it feels like we got to get something positive happening with these things to where, you know, we have this slow start to where you spend 50% of your starting money on a leaf badge and don't really do anything with it. You got to preserve some of those hearts just so you can get into the mid game. And so maybe it's okay giving up on the onion. The Thorn Whip is very high powered here. We can still connect all the dots with the leaf badge and the whetstone. And so our bag looks good. Just a little bit of a greedy start here. Our economy sucks, and It makes me a little sad. I want to just be as greedy as we can out here and make the most money. Cash rules everything around me, as some people say. So giving up on the dollars hurts a little bit. But all right, though, we got our bag. I'm tempted to just go ahead and upgrade this wooden sword, but there's still a lot of good stuff we can pick up here. Like just anything in terms of a defensive makes me at least a little bit happy, and so uh, we'll just continue with the rolling. Got the whetstone in here now. That's going to let us make the hero sword, and so we're kind of on point as far as the weaponry goes. I was expecting our combats to go a little bit smoother. I wasn't expecting to just tank every round here in the early game, but that's what's been happening. Looks like we're gonna get smashed in battle here again. So it's such a pain point picking up this badge. But all right, maybe maybe the upgrades are good enough now, and so I think that's tough. I don't think we can pick up the leather bag here. It just sets us so far behind. I'm looking to maybe pick up the leather armor and then lock in the leather bag for the round. Just let us pick up some kind of big defensive, right? Our offense is good. Our defense is pretty bad. Now, the thing that's a real shithole about the leather armor is it doesn't work well with the healing herbs, right? If our healing herbs are activating and activating and activating and activating when we're at full health, it's a bit of a waste. And so it kind of sucks to pick this up here. But it feels like these battles have been fairly close. And so maybe just the 45 armor almost doubling our health will let us get in enough Thorn Whip hits to where we can have a little bit more success, even though it's not purely optimal. Hey, check it. We got a trophy. We did it, fam. We got a trophy. It feels good. Things are bound to turn around from here. So good stuff. We got our bag. We got an on sale healing herbs. Happy enough to do that. There is the blueberries I'm a little interested in, but this is kind of an activator food to where you need other food to make it good at this point, right? We're not going for a mana build, so I don't care if we have these. We're not trying to make like a magic torch or anything. It's just not going to do any combos here. So we're going to skip past that for the moment. Wouldn't mind to pick up one of them later. And now we need to come in and pick up this Gloves of Haste. We got to get this Falcon Blade up and running. And so we'll pick that one up. It's going to be active and useful now. We'll lock in this other bag and then jump into battle. And so I'm curious to see how this leather armor will play out. I'm interested in the leather armor going with the snake build. Since you do get up into like the 500 healths once you've got all the pets on the snake and you get all of the bonus health. And that just works so nicely in terms of the scaling that you get out of the stone armor. And so we'll see if that turns up. It's a real bonus if you get all of the boxes checked off. But again, this is not one of my favorite early game situations to be in here. Now with this very interesting glowing crown, to me this is probably the second best armor in the game. The number one armor, we're going to be looking for 2 Cap of Corruptions, right? We want to find Cap of Discomforts. This is the best armor in the game to me. I want to have 2 of them at the end of the day. The second best one is going to be the glowing crown, and it's something that we tend to be able to activate out of the snake builds. Right, we'll have a random blueberries or 2. We'll have some of those 1 hex pets that generate mana. Like we'll get 10 mana over the course of a battle, and that makes the glowing crown work fantastically. And getting a 6 gold discount on it is huge, but it's gonna be fucking forever before we're able to use this thing. Like I'm happy enough with where we're starting to get in terms of like defensive stuff with the healing herbs and the leather armor, and this is a defensive, but it's not going to be an active defensive for like another 8 rounds, and so I think we have to let it go. I'm actually a little bit more interested in the piggy bank. Just pick up a touch of economy and then get like 6 or 8 health out of it. It doesn't sound spectacular, but it's not the worst. And then there is a banana out here as well. I think I'll pick both of these up. Gives us a little bit of something that we can work towards defensively. It's just not going to play out perfectly with our setup, though. I don't really want to put the Gloves of Haste on the Falcon Blade. Does so much less damage. I want to be getting our attacks in with the Thorn Whip. Alright, well. Guess we'll just have to go this route. Alright, check the weaponry on this guy. He's got the goods out here. Seems like we're okay. He didn't damage us quite fast enough. Our thorns were building up. Got that big crit in at the end. That's what you like to see. You like to see those crits come in and do the magic. It's what we're here for, right? That's why we got this leaf badge. So, okay, let's pick up a bag. Don't want the leather armor. Let's take a roll. And now the goods are starting to turn up, right? The goodies are officially here. We've got the Hungry Blade. That's going to be the most important one to pick up at this point. Definitely want to lock in the Toad. This is a kind of premier pet as far as the snake is concerned. Now with the rest of this stuff, I'm not certain if I want to lock it all or not. I do like Jinx tortillas, but they are fairly expensive. It is a nice pet. It's one of the early pets that turns up that you can attach to the the snake. We can pull the snake up real quick if you're not familiar with it. But the idea is that with the snake, you want to get as many pets attached to it as you can. And if you don't have any pets, it's just a real hot garbage item. And so when we do pick up the snake, put it in the bag, we want to already have some pets so that it's not just doing this bullshit to where it inflicts poison every 2.5 seconds. It's not enough to care about. We're here for the health. We're here basically using this as a defensive item. And so I'm kind of interested in locking in the tortilla for when the snake shows up, but I think it's just both too expensive and it takes up too much space. And so I think I'm gonna just pass on it and then lock in the helmet though. I think we can make both of these work as we go into the or as we get near the snake round. All right. Lots of bows, but they aren't particularly upgraded. I'm curious how this round goes. If he starts popping off with Empowered, we're going to be a little scared when those little pokes start doing big damage. Oh man. Good. Just short. I'm not certain if we should have taken the hero sword out here. We were running into a bit of stamina problem, but it's typically okay at this stage, but we do have 2 on-hit items. So maybe we could have built up a little bit more thorns if the hero sword was out. That's okay, though. So we got our snake. Welcome to the club. Let's see if we can't get a decent setup with these items. That opens up so much in terms of bag space here. That's fantastic. So with this, how can we pull it off? I definitely want to get both the Toad and the Cap of Resilience this round. We're going to have to sell something to do it, which is a bit of a bummer. But I guess we did also have the flute turn up. Definitely want flutes to be our stamina generator for this build. And so it's an embarrassment of riches for the round. So I wanted to call out that. The other thing I wanted to call out is the way I like to kind of have these builds up and running. Is we want the snake down here at the bottom in a space similar to this. You can push it up one, can push it down one, whatever, but we want one of the stars on the snake over here within the relic case so we can put a dragon there. Now, we don't have a dragon at this point. We may not see one throughout the run, but that's going to be the optimal thing that we're trying to shoot for, is finding a dragon that we can put in the snake thing. And then if we find 2 dragons, all the better. We can shift it up 1. And then we can still fit both dragons in the relic case and on the snake. And so we're going to look to do that, but it needs to be down here in this kind of general space that I'm hovering it at right now so that we can put these flutes over here to the right and have everything fit within the bags. As you do get these snakes kind of like here, if you're kind of eyeballing the top right hex, you tend to need to put a 2x2 pet up in that top right spot. And that kind of pushes over into your space out here to the right to where the flutes can fit. And so I usually find this snake down here in this kind of bottomy space once the builds start coming together. So we'll look at that. It's tough. Let's see here real quick. We want him kind of like this. We need to just shift. Oh, needs to go up 1 at this point. That's fine. So we can get him up here. Like, we definitely need to pick up the toad. Where's that gonna leave us financially? I would rather. What do we want to pick up here? Like, I want one of these defensives. I either want the Cap of Resilience or the Flute, and I kind of want all of our items to be in the bag this round. I don't think that that's too big of an ask. We can, like, just not be optimal with the piggy bank and start to do things like this to where we just make everything fit. But I guess if we're picking up a flute, we're just not going to have the space to fit the flute and the banana in. But we have to sell something if we want to pick up the cap. Whew. Life's hard, man. Life's hard. So let's do this. Let's go with the flute. We need to move this stuff a little bit. We gotta get this this snake situated just a little bit better. Trying to see if there's I guess we can rotate him. He doesn't have to be perfect at this exact round. Now that is going to make it awkward to try and get... oh, the banana's just not going to fit, right? We only have 2 hexes left. Okay. And I guess that's a lock on the helmet. Well, trying to think if we'll ever use this banana again. We could just go ahead and sell it and then pick up the potion belt. That sounds kind of greedy. Okay, well, let's just stop here. I'll reserve both of these things. I'm not excited about reserving the potion belt, but I don't want to have to roll to find a bag next turn. Let's just lock it. Ugh. Ugh. Sad noise. There was also a blood gem in there we could have potentially used for the leather armor. Not really excited about going down that path. All right, zinged him real hard. A lot of chit chat to just barely make it through the round. Good stuff. I'm glad we got there. And so let's pick up the stuff we want. We want the potion belt. We want the helmet. It's kind of tempting to pick up lucky clovers. I guess it's not spectacular, right? It's only going to give us the 2% chance to crit. Probably just skip past that. That's not. I'm having a hard time getting excited about that. Do want to try and get this banana in here, though. All right, we'll get it back here in the back corner. It's not gonna fit out there well. All right, fam. Things are starting to turn around. Things are starting to potentially, hopefully, maybe go our way a little bit. It's this guy. He's got the makings of a frost build. Started zinging him with the crits, though. That's what life's all about. Okay, so let's start getting our upgrades in. Now, the thing I will say at this point is I'm not... Like, I kind of wanted the Falcon Blade, but the premier item we're going to be finding is going to be a fancy fencing rapier, right? I think... Well, interesting. I'm not certain how I think about that. Like, the reason I'm going down this discourse is the Ripsaw Blade is turned up, and this is usually my backup to the fancy fencing rapier, in the sense that with this build, you typically just build up a bunch of clovers, and then those clovers all get funneled into the fencing rapier, making it a really high DPS item. But we kind of want the clovers to stick around if we're going to be gaining crit off of the leaf badge, and so I don't think we want a fancy fencing rapier, but the Ripsaw Blade is kind of the next option that's turned up here. What is a Falcon Blade's DPS? It's technically just 3.2, but it attacks twice, so it's probably like 6.4. We should probably just hang on to it. I just worry that, like, we still need to, physically find another set of gloves to get the to get the hero sword upgraded, and then I'm not entirely certain. Well, I mean, I guess we can make this work out to where, like, we just have this awkward positioning at the moment. Well, I mean, I've been hanging out with it like this for so long. Maybe we should have just flipped our hero sword a while ago, and then I would have just felt better about it. Okay, we'll keep it like that. We'll stay on path for this Falcon Blade, but I'm not certain that that's the way to go. All right, we got a Wolpentinger and a small bag. Let's see if we can do the work here. I think we're finally just going to have to sell off this banana. We'll hold on to it for a moment, but it's going to definitely be awkward in terms of getting it to fit in the bags where we want. Kind of ready to turn this snake around as well. Oh, it needs that extra hex on the bottom. There we go. Now, this leather armor is just in the way. Gotta find somewhere to get that. Like, I mean, I guess we can realistically just do something like this. Get ready for a big rearrange here. But, like, it's like we're never going to sell these armors and they're just in the way. What if we do like this? Does that get us anywhere off to a decent start? And we can start to push our other bags back in this way. It's kind of where we want to be. It's just a little bit awkward. Something like this is a little bit closer. I'm not a huge fan of too many of these moves that we've just made. it's gonna be a burden to try and fit all of this stuff in. Maybe this is the answer. Turning the snake around in this other direction. It was a bummer not having the gloves up on the Bloodthorn. I mean, it is a direction to take things. I guess, I mean, we could do something like this. Get the gloves up closer to the top. I don't hate it. The other thing is I kind of look at this bag as I wouldn't be upset to have the gloves just pointed directly on the flute. Are we able to maybe do this and then still keep all of our... And say the gloves on the flute and the Wolpentinger would be decent as well. And trying to think if I want to start Control-Zing this to to just undo and redo everything, or if I'm actually somewhat happy with how this has played itself out. Just gotta bear with me. Feel free to skip ahead in the video. Go at something like this as well, especially if we're able to maybe do this. Like we still have to. That didn't really help anything. All right, I'm gonna go back the way we were. I hope you've enjoyed this part of the video. It's just one of these things. It's like a real pain in the ass for this game, sitting around trying to min-max and figure out how the bag should look. I typically don't have the time for it. It's not my favorite moment of backpack battles, and so it is what it is. Just the pain point at the end of the day is trying to fit this Wolpentinger in to where our snake is going to hit both of the pets, and then also have our flute in a reasonable position. It's like as we start to move over like this, our gloves of haste fall off in the wrong direction. I guess maybe that's the thing that I'll just get over. Not having the gloves of haste up on the Bloodthorn, and then I think things kind of sort themselves out from there. Okay, sorry about all that nonsense. I guess this is good enough. This is perfection at its finest, you know. I guess it's good enough. Fuck it. We'll have to rearrange a bit anyways, and so Hopefully if we find some more bags, it'll just kind of fix itself. What do we got here? Some cheese build with a shaman mask? He's starting to scale up on us. We need to finish it fast. Nope, not going to do it. It's a bummer after spending all that time rearranging the bag for nothing. All right, so here we go. We got a ruby egg. If we can hold on just a little bit longer, I have high expectations for what we'll be able to do with that. Now we got a tiny little bag and another pet. And so this is definitely going to call forth another rearrange. I think the leather armor is probably what just ends up coming out at this point, because we do have to get all of this stuff within the bag, right? We need our weapon space to look like this, to where we have the hero sword touching both the ruby egg and the bloodthorn. All three weapons are within the relic case. That's just kind of like a must-do thing at this point. And now we need to maximize what the snake is able to hit. And so these are going to need to scooch over. But I guess the flute, we can make the flute work here in just a little bit with the protective purses. But got to get the Wolpentinger here. We got to get both toads in the middle. So now we do have the 4 hex on the snake. That looks pretty decent, I guess. Now, what's left? The question is going to be, do we want the flute to come in, or do we want the 45 armor off of the leather armor? Because we can still like do something like this. I guess we can technically get the flute in the mix like this. It's not a perfect flute, but it's not bad. How many hexes is this? It hits 5. Down here it hits 6, so we can move it down. Be okay with it. So that looks good. We are missing out on a healing herbs being in, which is a bit of a bummer, but kind of is what it is. We do have a couple of rolls left. Like, we can roll once and maybe hit a stamina sack. Didn't turn up. Big armor and Wolpentinger. Can't use that. Let's take one more. Protective purse turns up. We can at least fit that in, get a little bit more armor, get this extra healing herbs in. All right, so I mean the build's coming together. We are lacking in terms of we're lacking in terms of getting this Falcon Blade online, but other than that, I like where our head's at here. We can just survive out a couple of rounds. We'll be really high powered. Oh, this guy's just fucking stacked at this point. We're gonna get murdered this round. He's just like full build already. Oh shit, are we coming through? Is he not gonna heal on us? Fucking righteous. Just look at that. You see it, he's got the full wrap on the friendly fire with the cap of discomfort and 2 flame weapons. Like this guy's up and running and loaded. No idea how we won that round, but I'll take it. I'll accept it. Okay, and so this is where it can start to pick up, right? This is where we get a shot. The Corrupted Crystal turns up. The Gloves of Haste turns up. Just everything we need at this point to get both the Falcon Blade and the Cap of Resilience online. Just another pain point, though, in terms of where our weaponry stands. And so I worry about this in 2 separate ways. It's like I don't want to give up on too much on the round, right? Like taking the double upgrade... because we can, we need to do something like this to begin with. We can pull out some of these healing herbs to get up and running with the hero sword. If we need to get... I have a tough time thinking like giving up on the leaf badge is an okay idea. So maybe we at least leave the leaf badge in on the bloodthorn. And then we can put the 2 healing herbs in. Like I think the healing herbs might be better than the leather armor. They're going to let us get the activations for the on hit on the bloodthorn. And then if we can just get through this round, it'll be okay. Just got to get through this one round, huh? And things might turn themselves around. I feel like we've been saying that over and over and over again today, but let's see if we get punished for taking that armor out. Very similar build from the opponent. He's got his dragon online. Ew. Got crits for days though. So many clovers coming at him. Big 64 hit. Okay. Okay, the build is ready to come online. I had to double check the stacks in here to see if we managed to mess up our combinations, but we've got everything up and online at this point. It looks good. I like how things are looking with this Falcon Blade as well. We could potentially shift our Bloodthorn down 1. Open up some more stacks for the Falcon Blade, but I don't think we're gonna have a ton of stuff to put up here at the top. All right, let's move forward. And so another set of interesting things here. We're going to take the Protective Purse, but there's an on-sale deck of cards. And I mentioned a few videos ago, I was curious about how you go about the deck of cards with the dragons and how you make the RNG work. The way you do it is you find the dragon first. And so we found the dragon, we found the deck of cards. We just immediately find the Charizard. Now we can sell the deck. Perfect. And so what more could you ask for in terms of getting your Ruby Whelp up and online? This just fit in the bag. Oh, is Charizard really a 2-slotter? Okay. We'll come back to that. We can keep rolling here, though. All right, so we got another Cap of Resilience. I'm on board with getting that in here, and so let's go for it. I'm gonna move this bag out to the right since we're gonna use most of the slots out of it. Charizard up and running. Got our flutes back. This stuff up at the top doesn't really care about the Falcon Blade, but it's not like it's really missing out on any other activations here. We might have something turn up that fits with that. And then there's no space for the healing herbs at this point. Let's see, we're gonna pick up the helmet. I don't think we added in at this point though. Like, I'm not cutting out any pets. Can't cut out the Charizard. Okay, let's battle. I'd love to find a stone skin potion at some point. It's wild that it hasn't turned up by now, but this kind of is what it is. Look at that stamina draining down. Feels good. Starting to get the big hits in. Crit's taking him down. Oof. Oof, okay. Big battles. We got to figure out how to get the old chunk in here. I guess he just fits at this point. Look at that, I figured it out. Easy. We still got this 1 hex down here for the snake. It feels good. The bag space at this point kind of sucks. I will readily admit that, but hopefully that's the next thing we can turn around. Let's take the purse, let's take the scaling and the oil lamp, and we're going to look for some bag space. I'm going to skip on the ruby eggs. I don't think we have time to get it up and online. We need to find too much. We need to find bags. It's a bit of a pipe dream at this point. So we'll skip it. 4-slot bag turns up. I appreciate it. Let's get this stuff up and running. Looking good, right? Is that looking good? Let me double check this before we hit the button. Oh, there's a... Probably want to reserve both of these. There's a stone skin potion and a flute. But the leaf badge on all the weapons, that's good. The Falcon Blades on all the weapons and on 2 of the pets, that's good. All the pets are covered on the snake. The oil lamp up on the Charizard, always a fan of that. Cool. Battle time. Right, up against a poison ranger here. Just blasted him. Blasted the shit out of that guy. And all right. So much good stuff. So many upgrades coming in. I think with this, where are we at? We're at 10. If we pick up the potion and the crystal, let's just take a roll and see if a bag turns up. It does. It's a stamina sack. I think we can just give up on a healing herb at this point. I want to get all of these things in here if we can. So we've got the stone skin potion. That should just pop right at the beginning of the battle, actually. We have 4 protective purses generating like 48 armor, and then the leather armor itself getting us up to 90 or so. So that's all reasonable. Let's move the cap of discomfort if we can. Don't think there's going to be space for it. I want to put the corrupted crystal on the chunk, but still have the crystal upgrading our cap. Right, we have the 1 open bag slot. We have a free bag slot with the healing herbs, but it's not going to be enough to get the crystal up and running. There is an extra spot on the stamina sack up here. I don't see a quick way to make this all work. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I don't expect us to go to fatigue, but I think I would rather. Would I rather have the? Nah, we're not going to go to fatigue. Let's be real. We'll at least. Like, I guess we might get 6 armor out of the crystal this round, is what that's going to come down to. All right, get us to those survival rounds. What is this? This is a fuckload of heart containers. Took his health down fairly quick. Seems like we're zinging him. All right, good job, team. And so, yeah, this is an interesting selection. I think we'll just go into the survival rounds. The thing with going into the survival rounds to me at this point is we don't have a lot of space to upgrade, which I guess is fine. But the upgrades that we're going to be looking for, like we just don't have the time to do because there's just 3 spaces. And so I guess, like, in the short term, we can just find one more pet for the snake, and then we're good to go. And we can maybe try to find something like the Shield of Valor would actually work reasonably well here, and not just look for any of the long-term things like that dragon egg that we saw earlier. And so I can get behind the Shield of Valor. It's such a big stat boost coming off of the stone armor. Are we going to have enough hexes to be able to get this thing in? Like, we only have 4 open at the moment. I don't really want to be selling off. It's tough, right? I don't really want to be selling off our healing herbs. I like to keep them around so that the idea that I at least have with the Wolpentingers is that the healing herbs give you 2 stacks of something, but then the Bloodthorn immediately turns them into 4 stacks, and you get to get that stamina generation off the Wolpentinger, and so I prefer it that way. But selling all the healing herbs makes it kind of rando in terms of what you're generating right at the beginning of the battle. Maybe we have to skip past the shield. We just don't have enough hexes for it. So we're good with the potion belt. I think we're probably good with the flute. Take a roll. Corrupted crystal's decent. And also not opposed to putting the burning coal within the chunks, get more flame generation off of that upgrade. Okay, well, I don't think we're going to be upgrading anything off the corrupted crystal at this point, so let's just let it go. We can get this flute in. Now we have the bag space to get to work next round if we need to. And ideally, we're just going to find a pet, right? Some kind of pet to put down here in the bottom left corner. We'll fall back to a shield if we have to. All right, the vampiric dragon versus the snake dragon. Who could ever be the victor here? Is nullified like a billion buffs. a literal billion buffs got nullified on that guy. Good job for us. All right, next round. So we've got 5 hexes in the bags. The only downside here is if we like pick up a bag and then can't use it, right? If we don't get to add any other items in. We've got a lot of roll time here. Maybe it's okay. Nothing out of these we want. There's an oil lamp, which I'm always okay with. And then a speed bag if we want. It doesn't sound like spectacular upgrades. Again, it's not the pet Manny Nico's potential. You're godly, right? The ruby chunk. Unique in the snake. Although we don't really care about the snake activations. Here's a good here. It says it's 50 if we just drop it right here on the chunk. Okay, I guess I can get behind it. Gotta rework these bags just a little bit to get our friend in the mix here. It is nice to prevent the crits as well, and so it's not like he's doing nothing for us. All right, where are we going with this? Good. All right, reasonable enough. I'm not certain if we want to pass on that scaling that we would have gotten out of the oil lamp, but I mean, the scaling on the Manny Nico seems fairly decent here as well. Just hitting the chonk and hitting the snake. Chonk being the big one. Okay. Battle. More Adim cheeses. The prismatic cheese, if you will. It's even got the gingerbread man in there. I mean, this is a... If there's ever a build to want to take your double cap of discomfort up against, it's probably that one, right? somebody just super locked into needing this buff generation off the cheeses and the Wolpentingers and the gingerbread man, and then you're just like, LOL, got 2 cap of discomforts. It's so... feels good. And all right, the final item for the build that we would have been looking for today, the acorn collar making an appearance. Let's get it. Let's pick it up while we have the chance. I don't hate taking divine potions in these last rounds, right? It's very tough to find like good upgrades at this point, and we're not going to get any of the high profile items because we only have 9 gold left. And so I think this is a decent addition at this point. Let's just go ahead and pick that one up. See if we can't figure out a way to make these bags at least a little bit happier. Let's see. The quick one is getting the acorn collar out here. The acorn collar gives more crit, right? It gives 5 per clover, to where the leaf badge gives 2 per clover. So let's get the acorn collar on the 3 weapons. Look at the mathematics I just dropped on you all. You're fucking welcome. I'm glad to hit you with the good stuff. The old FTP Bust viewers know how bad my math skills are, and so glad to hit you with the good stuff when I can. Let's get this armor up at the top. I want to need it to be like this. I'm gonna say I want to get these potions in the potion belts. I guess did a lot of movement there we didn't quite need to do, but all right, let's give it a final lookaroo before we jump off, right? Our collars and leaf badges look good. Falcon Blade still looks good. The flutes we're not optimizing at this point. Unfortunately, didn't find a fifth pet for the snake, but it is what it is. Oil lamp on the chonk. Health potion, drinking the divine potion. All right, fam, let's just roll. Get a $1 item? Nope. All right. Final battle. Let's see what we can do. It's like a poison ranger. Ripped right through it. GG, well played. Mark it a W for bust. And so, good stuff. Fun battle. It's interesting to see that one play it out. I'm glad we got to kind of recover from our slow start and then make something strong out of it at the end of the day. Very powerful, being able to pick up this crit that you typically just don't get out of the Reaper, right? The only Reaper item that gives crit is going to be the subclass item, the subclass dagger. And so getting access to these 2 very small items here, just we're so huge in putting 100% crit on the chonk, 100% crit on the Falcon Blade, 100% crit on the Bloodthorn, just massive amounts of damage coming out of these things. And so it's an interesting build. If you ask me, I think it's one of the few places that the class tokens actually work, and it was a nice usage, a nice pivot on this snake build. And so I think that we had some good decisions along the way. Again, we knew that our early game was going to suck. It's a real pain point when you start at 12 gold and you spend 5 of that on a badge that just doesn't do anything, right? You're spending almost 50% of your turn 1 gold and then 25% of your gold by turn 2 on something that just does literally nothing. And so it's not something that I think we should be taking early, right? I think the leaf badge is fine if we're picking it up in the mid game, but since you're going to be either going snake or you're going to be going vampiric with the case, like you can pretty safely be in a crit build at that point and just go down that path and be fine. But taking it early is a mistake, I think. I'm glad that we got to kind of illustrate what you're able to do with the crit items here, but it's not something I can suggest that you'll have a lot of success with, because your early rounds are going to be really painful. And so I'm glad that we got to recover and pivot out of that. Otherwise, I feel like we hit a lot of the The highlights of the snake build that we touched on in the previous video. You want 2 Cap of Discomforts. You want to have 1 dragon if it turns up. Ideally, you'll find 2, but that's a bit of a high roll. Otherwise, these flutes are going to play into the clovers, right? We're trying to find ways to maximize the clovers since we have the flutes generating them and the snake generating them to a lesser degree. The Wolfenting generating them. We don't care about the poison out of the snake. We care about the clovers. The clovers typically feed into a fancy fencing rapier, but since we were going for the leaf badge acorn collar, we needed the clovers around. We didn't go for the rapier within this build, so we kept the Bloodthorn Falcon Bladed. So hopefully that highlight gets you kind of back in space to where we were once you get to combine it in with the previous video. Last but not least, I was very unimpressed with that leather armor. I feel like we should have gotten rid of that leather armor a long time ago. Like it did get to turn into the stone armor at the end, which is quite good, right? I mean, just getting this massive boost of stamina when we have massive boost of armor when we start with 570 health is quite good, and then you get the 90 armor, then you get the 35% of 570, which is a big number. It's very bigly number coming out of there, but I feel like that leather armor was just a hindrance the entirety of the way through, and so I'm not certain if there was a way better about that and just completely avoiding the stone armor. It's always a bit of a chicken and the egg situation to me as to where the stone potion doesn't do anything on its own, but if you never find the stone potion, then the leather armor is just kind of bad. And so I'm not certain how I feel about that. But when it all comes together, it is quite good, especially if we had managed to get a shield up on this and just get that massive armor boost. Gives us all that time we need for the little bit of scaling we have to pop off. Nonetheless, good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So if everyone enjoyed the video, hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. You had a good time watching. This is Bustin' Me. Thank you for being here.